Hi, welcome to Edward Box Guitar Tuition. Got another classic album inspection today, and this is a stone cold classic, one of the most influential albums made in the hard rock and heavy metal genre. 45 years ago today, May 17th, Rainbow Rising was released. So prior to this, Ronnie Dio had teamed up with Richie Blackmore and his band Elf and made Richie Blackmore's Rainbow album in 75. And that sort of set the stall out. Prior to this, Dio had been kind of doing honky-tonk rock and roll, hard rock type songs in Elf. Blackmore had flirted with some fantasy style imagery in songs like Stormbringer and Burn with Deep Purple, of course. But they went the whole hog on the Richie Blackmore's Rainbow album with tracks like 16th Century Greensleeves, Temple of the King, Catch the Rainbow, and of course The Great Man and the Silver Mountain. So they just upscaled this for the Rising album. The artwork got even better, more sort of metal, what we take now as metal fantasy lyrics, metal fantasy imagery, sorry. The imagery in the lyrics went further. But perhaps more importantly, Richard Blackmore, and he does this, he changes, the lineup virtually every album, and he brought in one of the crack teams of all time, really. Obviously, Cozy Powell's someone who needs no introduction. Gives a powerhouse performance on this record. Jimmy Bain, only in Rainbow for one album, but obviously sterling work. Although I think his work with Dio is probably better. And then sort of the unsung hero of this is the keyboard player Tony Carey. He only did the one album. I'm not sure what happened to him. He did some solo stuff. But he kind of didn't disappear, but he was never as high profile as he was as when he did Rising. And it's quite interesting, the album opens with Tony Carey with his brilliant intro to Tarot Woman. So side one of the original vinyl, just looking there, 5 minutes 58, it opened with Tarot Woman. I still remember my brother went on a school trip to Edinburgh, and it was obviously back when we were kids, you couldn't get the old back catalogue records in your mum and pop shop, as it were. So they had the big stores like HMV and Virgin in the big cities. Obviously Edinburgh's one in the UK. So we're really excited to see what he would bring back from his trip, because he said, I'll get an album or two, So me and my other brother, I wonder what he's going to bring back. So one of the albums he brought back was Judas Priest Killing Machine. I've told this story before in one of my videos, and the other one was Rainbow Rising. And this had the gatefold sleeve, so sorry, this is back to front, but you can see it had the pictures of the band on the back like that. There's the classic cover, wrong way round. And opened up and there's a kind of cool picture of the band sat down. But I remember when we put it on, the Tarot Woman fades in and it just builds. Amazing, it's just so cool. And then that riff comes in, and it's all hands on deck is a way to describe it. Just instantly the band is just firing, and then Dio comes in with his magnificent vocal and his great lyric. With that imagery of the Tarot Woman not getting your fortune read at the fair, and that kind of ties into his superstition, I think. His famous sign, I think, is that right? Hopefully I haven't got it wrong. Is actually something his mum, or was it his grandmother? So he's Italian American heritage, and she would make that sign to ward off the evil eye or ward off evil or something like that. And that's where he got it from. So he had that sort of in his background, that kind of superstition and fear. So it really works really well on this track. So it's a classic opener, one of the all-time great, Rainbow songs and, songs of hard rock and metal. So track 2 is Run with the Wolf. So this is a great deep cut. This is the track that's, not as well known on this album, but it's got a really great, lovely groove. It's got that kind of boom, 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 which can be kind of a very leaden type of bass grid playing those quarter notes on the beat. But Cozy Powell and Jimmy Bain lock into a really cool groove, and Richie Blackmore's riff's really cool. I love this track. I had a sort of spate of listening to it a while ago, just kind of because it's not the immediate track on the album, but again, really cool lyric. And so that's 3 minutes 48. It snaps along. Then track number 3, just over 4 minutes, is Starstruck. So this is the other kind of the next sort of really well-known classic track. I actually think I maybe prefer Run with the Wolf, but it's a great track. Again, it's got more of a bouncy groove. Again, Cozy Powell, he's playing such great fills on this record. and his drums, you know, they're really driving the music in a way that the drums on the previous album didn't. Again, another great vocal lyric from Dio, and a fantastic slide guitar solo from Richie Blackmore. And then side one of the album finished with, again, a lot of people would say this is the throwaway track, but I absolutely love this track. It's just a straight ahead hard rocker. It's something that Dio has always done well. It's something Richie Blackmore and Rainbow have always done well. Just a good time rock track. On the Long Live Rock and Roll album, there's tracks like Sensitive to Light and The Shed as well, which kind of fit into that vibe, but it's just under 3 minutes. Do You Close Your Eyes? And it's just so well structured, this song. It's a classic verse bridge chorus structure, really good rocking verse, great lift on the bridge, and really cool chorus. And I think the difference with this is every other lyric has some kind of fantasy, slightly mythical element, whereas this is just a straight sort of, you know, girl boy good time song. But it's a really welcome kind of break for what is coming, because what comes next, what opens side 2, is one of the great achievements in this entire genre. You know, it's a reason I play guitar. I love hard rock, I love metal, and this track, Stargazer, of course, is just one of the titans of the genre we love. So interesting on this, it uses the orchestra, the Munich Philharmonic Orchestra. So this album is recorded at Musicland Studios in Munich in Germany. So it's a very famous studio. The Suite recorded there. There, Give Us a Wink album there. Queen went there. I think probably for I think it's the jazz album, but they certainly went there on the Hot Space album. I think Brian May actually said Freddie started to get into quite a bit of trouble in Germany in the early 80s, you know, with his lifestyle and stuff. But yeah, so this is a classic studio. A lot of I think Zeppelin went there. I think the In Through the Outdoor album's done there. So it's a classic studio. I've got to say, I've got one criticism of this album. It's the production and the mix. I remember, I think it was Malcolm Dome said he didn't like this album as much as Long Live Rock and Roll for that reason. And some people prefer Long Live Rock and Roll. I think it's a better sounding record. I think the problem with this is, it might be the master on the CD, but it's got a very trashy top end. And it just, there's not much separation. It feels like the cymbals and the sort of snare sound are kind of blurring in a bit. Obviously the guitar sounds quite toppy because Richie plays Strat. Then sort of Dio's vocal mixes are kind of a bit reverb and a bit kind of, it feels like everything's kind of all in one, you know, rather than much separation. And in that respect, sometimes it lacks a bit of power. But once you get into the sound of it, when Cozy Pal's incredible drum intro comes in on Stargazer, you know, you're into it. There's not really a lot I can say about Stargazer. There's probably other things on YouTube that go into the song in depth, but I think what's really cool about the lyric is Dio creates this imagery of the wizard, but it's about following someone off a cliff. And we can take that in contemporary terms, you know, with politicians, you know, obviously recent events of last year, this year, sorry, and last year, you know, would make us look at our politicians and what they do. So it's that idea of following someone off a cliff, a messiah, really. But I just, I remember actually, obviously, the original Gatefold album actually has the lyrics for Stargazer. So we just used to, you know, pour over those. It's great solo by Richie on this, uses the Phrygian dominant mode and the Arabic scale. For the guitarist out there, obviously the Phrygian dominant mode is the harmonic minor scale, but played from his fifth step. So if you play something called a Hungarian minor scale and play that from the fifth step, you'll get what's called the Arabic scale. So it's kind of like playing the harmonic minor scale, but putting in like the, you know, what you imagine is the kind of blues note of a blues scale. It's got a great sound. Uli John Roth used it at this time as well. But yeah, it's great. The solo build's really amazing. It's just epic. And where those strings come in. And the fade out's brilliant with Dio's ad-lib, so incredible. And then after that, you know, it's that weird thing where the final track, you know, when I used to listen to it in the past, it was like, oh, Stargazer's over, all right, I'll listen to the next track, which is Light in the Black. But as the years have gone by, you know, you just come to appreciate this track. It's got a really kind of fast double kick drum tempo. And the band kind of shows off on this. Just every single band member, Cozy's just laying down an amazing groove with them. You know, frantic drums are great fills. Jimmy Bain's right on it. Tony Carey steps up to the fore here and duels with Richie Blackmore, and then they go into a unison arpeggio harmonised line. And this is, you know, this is such a big influence on things like Malmsteen and Shrapnel Shred, Dream Theater. Obviously, I mean, Deep Purple did this, but not to this extent. You know, as everything in this album, Blackmore brings his neoclassical influences to play. So there's that element of influence of neoclassical metal. It's got influence on progressive metal, but principally power metal. The album cover, the imagery, the lyrical imagery, it's basically so so prevalent in European power metal now. You know, it all goes back to Rising. I think the only difference is this is kind of got a hard rock sound. It's not heavy metal, but it's got heavy metal imagery. Yes, this is an amazing track. And it's right at the end, you know, Dio kind of saves the best for last. He does this little ad-lib, I'm coming home. Then he does a lovely, I'll go into music, he uses the door in me, he goes, home. It's just, you know, the very last thing he does, he just lays it down with an amazing vocal. So, incredible album, you know, one of the absolute all-time achievements, as I say, in the beloved genre. They went on. I'll feature the Long Live Rock and Roll album in a couple of years' time when it's the big anniversary for that. But this remains like an album for all ages. You know, we'll always go back to this album. It's one of the few albums. Like I said, production and mix aside, is literally perfect. Van Halen 1, Operation Mindcrime, Rage for Order, Stay in Class. You know, there's not many albums where it's like, it's pretty much, God, that's just absolutely right. But I think Rainbow Rising is one of them. Okay, see you again. Thanks very much. Cheers.